Good morning and welcome to another fabulous day of learning in Northwestern Ontario with Selno. I want to take a moment and really say a huge thank you to our leaders of technology-enabled learning and teaching, our ELKs in each of our boards, for this fabulous learning opportunity that they've put together. It's an enormous amount of work to have a learning event of this caliber, and they have just done a fabulous job. So a huge round of applause and a thank you to them. It was a great day yesterday of learning, and it was exciting to be able to share our way of being in Thunder Bay with George. I know it was his first time here, and he had a great experience, and I know he was certainly inspirational for us as well. It was a great day of learning, and we were all here to learn, and as we go forward, we really need to think about how we're going to use that learning. It was very inspirational, and the energy was very high in the room. It was an opportunity to really build those face-to-face relationships with other learners in our boards, and certainly exciting to be able to do that because we all work so hard and we work quite often in isolation from each other. So it's great to see each other and collaborate and share our learning. And at the same time, we can't forget building the relationships with the people who weren't able to be with us yesterday face to face. And sharing back with that group of people is so important. We know that many of them were watching from afar yesterday and sharing their learning with us, either through Twitter or other means. And so it's exciting to be able to pull them in now and to listen to what they have to say. So we need to think about that going back and how we're going to share our learning with them. Screencast-O-Matic is the program that I'm using this morning to share with you. It's just one of many screencasting apps that you can use to very quickly and kind of on the fly share some learning with others. I want to just share with you a couple of the things that were my takeaways yesterday, and then give you some opportunities to do that as well, to share your learning back with others. I think that the student voice at the table was one of the most powerful pieces of our learning yesterday, and I often wonder if we're listening to student voice and if we're changing because of it. So we can't just listen. We can't just applaud the kids for having such courage yesterday to share with us. We have to remember that listening to them also means we have to take action on what they're saying. So what will you do next as a result of what we learned yesterday? It was really interesting to me to think about that idea that we're so thinking all the time about our teaching in classrooms that sometimes we're actually interrupting the important learning of students. So I'm going to want to dig into that one a little bit more. And one way is to think about whether or not I really would want to spend a whole day learning in my own classroom. And that's a really great perspective to go forward with. I wanted to share a blog post by Grant Wiggins with you who talks about this. He actually followed an opportunity that a teacher had to act as a student for a couple of days, and the learning is really important. I know that with the Swiss teachers that we have an eye on this in Ontario already, but it's something to think about as we go forward. As well, I was really intrigued by Mark Carbone's suggestion that thinking about how we can share openly without passwords is a great default way to think. We have to, of course, always keep student privacy in mind and make sure that that's protected. But how much sharing could we really do online, and what kind of digital footprint, what kind of positive digital footprint can we build for ourselves in an open environment? It was really exciting to feel the energy in the room yesterday, and I want you to think about now how you're going to take that energy back to your practice. I was really excited to see this tweet from outside of Selno yesterday that said, you know, during an interview he learned from a teacher who said, when you hire me, you don't just get me, you get my whole professional learning network. And are we going forward with our professional learning networks? Mark talked a lot about these unstoppable forces, so that isolation really is a choice we make now as educators. It's a big, changing, connected world, and we need to be out there and be part of it. And this is just another way of summarizing that. Education has to change as a result of what's going on in the world. And we need to think about what our actual next steps will be as a result of the learning today. Pedagogy changes. The old methods aren't working anymore. I wanted to also share where you can find all of the OSAPAC resources that were mentioned yesterday. And I've got the link here for you. At the end of the presentation, I'll also share the link to this presentation so you can go in and actually use all of these links. Karen shared about the digital citizenship resource, which is really different because it's a living resource. It's one that we're constantly building on. So if you go in there and you see that there is a resource you know about that's not mentioned, there's an opportunity for you to contribute that. So here in Ontario, we can keep building our resources together in an organized way so that they're there for all educators to use. This was a really interesting idea for me, and I know when I talked to Karen about what the one takeaway was from her session, she said we need to think about how we're not just sharing digital citizenship with educators and students, but how we're bringing the community into this as well. And perhaps going forward, when we think about our learning events, we can also think about how we can bring members of the community to help build their capacity into the learning environment as well. So that's a bit of a challenge going forward. I wanted to just take a moment to share a few of the SAMR resources that are out there as well. Mark did a great presentation on that whole idea of the SAMR model, and it might be a framework that works for you as you go forward with your integration of technology into learning and teaching. And Mark's very generously shared his presentation from yesterday here. So think now going forward about the changes you can make. It's so easy to focus on what's not working, but we have to think about what we can change and what we can do in a positive way to move forward. So what is the one thing that you can do? I was so impressed with Frank yesterday. He sat there and he was the focus of George's attention for so long. But look at the tweets that he's put together already. And I loved the learning that he shared that, hey, change your egg to a picture so that other people will follow you and recognize you. And just think of all those Twitter friends that you're going to make and all the sharing and learning that you're going to do and how exciting it's going to be when you meet people face to face. But you need that picture there so you know when you meet people face to face who they are. And remember that we do much better as 21st century educators if we're experiencing the things that we would like our students to be able to do. So if we create our own digital portfolio, how much better then can we help students create their digital portfolios? So we've connected with the outside world through Selno. Let's continue to do that. I know that some people took big steps yesterday. We've already shown together that as topics fly by in Selno, we've been able to share other learning back with the group. And it was really exciting to see Brooke win the door prize yesterday, which was the 20-time project. And I want you to think very carefully about what 20-time projects are also possible in not just your students' world, but in your world as a teacher. Wouldn't it be great if all teachers had some 20-time as well? Lots of different ways to share your learning back. This is a first tweet, so let's celebrate that. That's just fabulous to see people getting on and starting to share and starting to connect and make their learning visible. I was really excited to see the steps that Jason took yesterday, not just presenting live some of his learning, but also starting his very first blog right while we were there at Selno. So please continue to encourage him in making his learning visible. If you too want to think about how to make your learning visible, then AwesomeMOOC has an awesome opportunity for you. Starting today, we are going to scaffold learners who want to become more connected. We also have our 30 days of learning in 10 minutes a day on the site. So go to the AwesomeMOOC Hub. We've left the link there for you. Go in there. We have sample blogs of school and system leaders and teachers all across Ontario and the 10 minutes of day Couch to Connected to help you get connected. As we work through the month of May, we'll be working with groups of people to help them through that. So if you're interested in that kind of scaffolding, be sure to sign up and learn what's happening in May. So as we go forward, remember it is exciting times ahead. And don't forget the learning you've done over the next few days. Who knows, you might even be famous with your 15+ followers. You might be the next speaker at Selno. And as Mary Ellen Roy, who's one of my favorite presenters from Google Apps for Education Summit in Kitchener this past year, says, try one thing now and explore it. Take that one first step. What will be your next? I do so much look forward to learning with you over the next few months and over the next few years as you too become a much more connected educator. Thanks again to all of our ALCs for the fabulous work they've done in putting this learning opportunity together. Talk to you soon.